What is up, everybody? So this is the first episode of our new Twitch cast called The Recliner. We named it that because we thought it was a funny elbow to chair force. So we're going to talk about some WoW stuff. We're going to talk about kind of what's going on now in the pre-patch and everything, some things coming up with WoW, and then some things we're going to be doing as far as our guild for WoW. We also have our first special guest, Cowmasutra. I'll let him do a little intro first as to who he is.
Yo, thanks for having me, Hothead and Absent. I am Cowmasutra. I am the community leader for The Herd. I stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:30 p.m. Eastern and on. Mainly World of Warcraft with some variety. And I'll be doing a 48-hour stream starting tomorrow night at around 5:30 Eastern time. And that will include a sleep stream because I'm not stupid enough to go that long on stream with sleep.
Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. I primarily play Moonkin Druid, but I'm going to be rolling a Shadow Priest as well for Shadowlands.
Nice.
Wise choice.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Hothead. I'm the guild leader for Air Force Gaming and also the World of Warcraft gaming lead for us. And then we have Absent. He's one of our officers. I'll let him do a little bit of an intro.
Yeah, my name is Absent. I'm one of the officers in the Air Force Gaming Guild. I play as Shadow Priest, and I'm just glad to be here, part of this Twitch cast to share some insight on everything going on in the World of Warcraft and its pre-patch events.
Awesome. So the first thing we're going to get into is the pre-patch event that we just started doing this past couple weeks. We had the original part where we go over to Ice Crown and kind of start up our Argent Crusade, getting everything ready to enter the Shadowlands. And then now we're at the point where everybody's turning into zombies and blowing each other up and keeping each other from doing quests and getting gear. So do you guys think the pre-patch was long enough, like to get to farm gear, farm the rares, get the pets and everything?
I'm going to just get this off my chest now. I did literally nothing with pre-patch. I heard that this was the week of pre-patch that we've had so far,
Yep.
and I've been enjoying doing other things in the meantime. From what I heard, the highlight was a 34 slot bag.
Yep.
So
I haven't even seen that. That's crazy.
Absent, I know you've been farming some of the rares a lot. What do you think?
So, here's the great thing about the pre-patch. I finally got my character to level 50 2 days ago, and I was like, okay, what is the quickest way I can get this character geared and ready to be into Shadowlands? The pre-patch does a good job of giving someone that opportunity to play catch-up and get their character ready for Shadowlands. You go out in Ice Crown, you farm the rares, you collect your Scourge Stones, and you basically buy your gear from the vendor. It takes you about 2 to 3 hours to have a full set of eye level 100 gear. That's very cool. When you ask how long enough, though, I feel like 2 weeks is just not long enough to have a great experience with this pre-patch event.
Right,
I
yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah. I know we've had a lot of people in the guild farming the rares this week. Salty, he's in chat. I know today even we saw him. He's got a full character decked out with all the eye level 100 gear. And I don't know. I feel like it was good. Like that gear is really good to help everybody get their alts ready for the Shadowlands. But I feel like it's still, the couple weeks wasn't long enough to get all your characters prepared, especially with how we're going to have alts and stuff ready. If you're wanting to go serious into Mythic Plus or Mythic Raid, you got to have your characters ready, everything ready in case you have to make a swap for something. And then the bag, with as rare of a drop as it is, it's, I don't know, I feel like it could have been a bit longer because I know I'm still talking to people who have been trying to farm it all the time and just still haven't got it to drop yet. It was like a 34 slot?
Yeah. And here's something I noticed too. Like, you kill Nathanos Blightcaller, he drops a 115 weapon for whatever character specialization you kill him on. So that's a great catch-up mechanic there. 115 eye level. That's the same eye level that you get from doing a heroic Nyalotha. And then when you're killing those rares around Ice Crown, they have the chance to drop you eye level 110 gear. So you're getting gear that's above normal Nyalotha,
Right.
and close to being able to just step into heroic Nyalotha. So I feel like you're getting geared. but I just feel like there's not enough stuff to do
Right.
for the pre-patch event.
So Cal, what are some things you would have liked to see? I know you said you've heard that it's a really weak pre-patch. What are some things you would have liked to see in the pre-patch, content-wise or lore-wise, anything?
So, I think that that like increasing the spawn time to make it faster was a good move. I saw that people were just sitting there farming. 1 minute they kill everything, sit there for 19 minutes, wait.
Yep.
That's not the best gaming experience in my opinion. I feel like this whole Scourge invasion, zombies, it's been done many times before. Like
Yep.
I would kind of like to see something new. Maybe something that's more on target with the expansion itself. Like take us into one of the new zones, because we've already downloaded all the patch, like,
Yep.
or all the expansion. Like all the files are already local on all of our computers. All they have to do is flip the switch, so to speak. I would have liked to see like take us to Bastion, let us do something to warm us up. And I actually think from a business perspective that would have been better too, because get everybody like nice and excited for the expansion. Maybe some last minute holdouts that haven't bought the expansion might see the new zones, which are very aesthetically nice. New music, new zones. Now somebody's like, "Oh man, the pre-patch is cool. I gotta buy Shadowlands now." So I feel like that was a missed mark on Blizzard's part.
Absolutely. All right.
That last minute change from 20 minutes down to 10 minutes was definitely welcome.
Oh, for sure it was. It was. Someone told me it was too little, too late, and I was like, maybe that's not the right way to put it, because at least they're responding to community feedback. But at least they did make that change. Maybe they could have done it sooner, but yeah, lesson maybe for them.
So Cal, did you at least did you kill Nathanos over this event?
The only time I logged in was to do keys like twice, man.
Have you seen the cinematic?
I saw the cinematic. The cinematic was really good.
What do you think about Tyrande now? The new Eclipse Tyrande?
I think the Thanos is still a simp, but I think I mean Tyrande was she's cool, you know.
Yeah. I think
that's pretty dope.
I think we're gonna see a lot of her going into Shadowlands now with the new I forget what they're calling her. She's some kind of the moon god. She's like merged with the moon god now, and she's supposed to be all powerful and everything. I think we're going to see a lot of her going into future, like how they set up Sylvanas originally in the pre-patch for BFA, and now at the end of BFA we're seeing that she was some big powerful bad and she could destroy the helmet and take down the Lich King. I think we're going to have something like that toward the end of Shadowlands for Tyrande.
Because sometimes I feel like these end bosses, you know, everybody talks to Miriam Bronzebeard and it's like, you're the champion of Azeroth, you're the hero that we need. Everyone's the hero, everyone has a neck, everyone has a cloak. Yep. And then 20 of you go and take down like the biggest, baddest foes, but it's like, well, what if there's hundreds of us? Like in some capacities, like I want to see bigger, meaner monsters out there, and I think that it would be cool to see something bigger, like maybe multiple raid groups have to take down a boss, like as a group or something.
Absolutely.
Because I think like WoW's not really capitalizing on like this like giant open world field where like some games, like let's say even like Final Fantasy, are taking advantage of those type of things.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely feel like world bosses specifically aren't impactful enough. Like I feel like years ago in previous expansions and everything, world bosses were this crazy thing. You had to go find a raid group and get ready to kill it, and it took a lot of work, and you got awesome stuff from it. And now world bosses are just like, weekly, let's just walk up and see if there's 5 other people fighting this thing and kill it really quick, and then get nothing out of it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I definitely feel like they could capitalize on that a lot more.
So, speaking on that, what do you guys think about the idea of going back to 40-man raids? Because Classic has it, but they took it away.
I don't know. I feel like, and we talked about this earlier this week, but with the way everything is now, you look at Classic, you look at BC or Wrath of the Lich King, and that was a textbook definition MMO. Everybody had to get together. You had to get your groups together to do stuff. And now you can just jump in LFR and go do stuff. Not everybody has all those people. So I don't know. I feel like it would be really cool for those bigger guilds, but I don't know if everybody would have those, like the people to be able to do that.
I feel like with the
Yeah.
addition of the looking for group and all that stuff, it kind of took like the building of the community away from being able to fulfill that 40-man raid team like most guilds are able to do in Classic and Burning Crusade.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I would like the option, right? So back in the day, I used to run a 10-man guild, and then on weekends I would do a 25-man raid, and I feel like 25 is like a nice spot, but it'd be nice. It would be nice to have the option to do 40.
Yeah.
Like, because the only time that I think 40 is appropriate is either farming kills like world mode or war mode, or like doing a raid on the Alliance cities or something. And then at that point, it's like add-ons manage it now, and you don't really have a personal connection. I would love to see 40 come back as like at least an option.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I feel like the older content shows some of those things that we should bring back, like the bigger raids, but also I feel like master loot should be an option for full guild runs. A lot of people disagree with me on that I've talked to, because yeah, there are still guild leaders who are going to abuse it. There's raid leaders who are going to abuse it and still give it to the people they want or keep it for themselves. But at the same time, I feel like it would help guilds gear their characters a lot better, because I don't really like the personal loot system. Like, it's really cool. You get your piece, you know you have that piece, you're good to go. It's only for you. But with the way the personal loot is, even if it's an item level upgrade, it might not be a stat upgrade. It might not be the trinket I wanted. But Absent might need it because he's a caster, and you might need it. You're a caster, but I can't give it to you because it's an item level upgrade. I can't pass it to you. I definitely feel like they could fix that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I understand where they're coming from with the whole, if it's an eye level upgrade, you can't trade it because then, you know, it can be abused. But I feel like the current implementation is broken also. Yeah. Like, the whole thing where you go 7 weeks in a row as a mythic guild and you don't see a single mythic Leviathan's lore, and then on week 8, 7 people get at the same time. You know, this whole trend of everybody's getting the same item. There were, I don't remember who it was on Blizzard's side, but somebody said something about how that was a bug, but that they had no intention of fixing it.
Yeah.
So to me, that sounds more like they plan that as a feature where it's there's less competition or contention on who gets what loot if everybody gets the same item. But then it's either feast or famine at that point, and then it's like luck of the draw, who's gonna get the best item. So I think everybody can agree that like loot is messed up. Master looter would be nice, but there's so much room for abuse. But at the end of the day, like, in my opinion, give the option to the player. Like, I want to see more agency. I want to see more like sovereignty, that the player gets to make the decision. If you're in a mythic raiding guild, you're probably gonna like let's say top 100. You're probably at the behest of your guild leader who says, okay, we're doing master looter. I'm assigning each one. But I used to run my loot council, and we did it pretty effectively and fairly. And there were only 2 of us in the loot council for master looter. So I think it can be done. And I think that Blizzard's fears end up trapping them in even worse scenarios than if they had just turned master looter back on.
Definitely
a lot more work for the Blizzard support team when Master Loot goes wrong, and then people aren't getting the pieces that they wanted, or the guild leader decides to hoard all the loot for himself. But it's all, I think it's all based on like the community that you're running with. You know, you have your guild leaders and you have the raiders. If everyone's on the same page about, hey, we just want the raid to be successful and want the best people who need the loot to push us to where we need to be to get the loot, then master loot can go very effectively and go very well. It's when you have a lot of people who are, let's say, purple hungry or loot hungry, where those type of situations can go awry, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, so we're gonna move into a little bit of class tuning because there have been so many changes.
Throw one thing on
go ahead.
Master loot quick. So I think part of the problem with the master loot and why they have no intention of fixing it is the main group of people that want master loot to be on are also the ones that have 3 end game max level specs, so that they can do splits for like race to world first and stuff. So like technically Blizzard's making money off not changing it. So why would they? Especially with Activision at its back. Like why are they motivated to make a change at that point? So it's the whole thing where like, do they cater to the vocal minority, or do they do with what most of the world wants, even if they may not be their most active subs? Like, I don't know. I think it's a bad, whatever they do right now, I think it's a bad implementation. And there's a comment in chat that I think was really nice. Glitter said, even if you have to unanimously vote, to switch to Master Looter, it would be something. I agree with that.
Oh, absolutely.
I think if everybody comes into the raid and they say, I am okay with this raid being a Master Loot raid, and then you can't change it after the fact, it's like getting locked into a dungeon and choosing, hey, this is the only group I'm running Mythic with this week.
Yep.
Leave that up to the player, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely feel like it should be up to the group. Make it not just one person's thing, but especially, like you said, if we're running it as a guild, we should be able to sit down and be like, hey, who wants us to run Master Loot? No? All right, well, we're going to keep it on Personal Loot this time, or we're going to do it this way. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. All right, so there have been so many changes to classes, specs, certain abilities taken away, given, taken out of talents, new talents coming in, so many new things. So I definitely want to touch on some of that. But I want to start with Boomy, because Boomy has had some good changes, and that is your specialty. So what do you think about the changes to Boomy in the pre-patch and upcoming for Shadowlands?
Dude, Boomy feels great right now. Boomy feels so good. I'm glad that Starfall is actually viable.
Oh my god.
BFA,
Yes.
It was like literally 17 targets in order to be viable, and at that point, you were even questionable on whether you should just spam Sunfire. So it was like, it was nice, man. It's nice to be able to cast and move at the same time, especially because like I like to get knocked in the air by mechanics that I should dodge.
Yep.
But now it's like part of my class immersion. I get knocked up in the air, I start casting moons and stars from the sky, and then I flap down like,
Yep.
let me hit him. Now if I get hit, I can just say I meant to do that. I'm role playing my Moonkin. As far as it goes in beta, Moonkin didn't feel as hot in beta as it did on pre-patch, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. I definitely think that it's still stronger. Now my main consideration is, do I go with Kyrian or Night Fate? And it's looking like Kyrian so far. So
Yep. Definitely.
I think a lot of the misconception about pre-patch is people will feel really strong or really weak due to the loss of corruption and due to having the Azurites in combination with the level squish. They're just really strong. But I'm gonna do a little self promoting here. Shadow Priest is strong as hell right now, and I'm loving it, man. The changes they made to Shadow Priest is like a heaven sent.
Oh,
Just gotta say that.
Dude, and it not only does it like hit good, it feels good too. Like all the ghosts coming out, and like it feels almost like a Fire Mage felt in a BFA. And my OG main was a Shadow Priest. Like I had to have my entire guild convince me to level past 49 because I was in a Warsong Gulchen AB just mind flaying and pew 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 melting faces as a Shadow Priest. I switched to Moonkin and like Wrath of the Lich King, and I took a break until Legion, and then I'm really excited to break the dust off my Shadow Priest too, because man, it is fun. It is so fun, and it's nice when it's fun, when it feels fun, and it actually hits hard on the meters, right?
Oh yeah.
Because the opposite it sucks. Like Moonkin was fun in BFA, but it really wasn't. It didn't shine. And Hunter, like flavor of the month, super powerful, boring, super boring to play.
Right.
So I agree with you. It's nice that Shadow Priest has both now.
For all my Shadow Priests out there, dot up everything you can find with Vampiric Touch, and then just let off your Mind Blast, your Searing Plagues, and watch all those shadowy apparitions. It's the most beautiful thing. It's so beautiful.
So, Cal, did you happen to watch the Keystone Masters Invitational they just did I think last weekend?
I watched the highlights. I watched the highlights on YouTube.
So
I can actually watch what they did fully, but
I personally think Boomies are going to be. I know you said they weren't as strong on the beta, but looking at them in that KSM, being as though they only had normal raid gear, they didn't do the mythic raid gear like they usually do in the tournaments. They just gave them normal raid gear and said, do these 13s. And I'm not gonna lie, Boomy was looking pretty good. And I think they're going to be pretty viable, especially because now you have Cyclone baseline, you have Ursul's Vortex baseline.
Roar, yep.
Yeah,
it's more utility. You're right about that.
Yep.
And yeah, the thing is, in the beta, it was like Moonkin's first 2 weeks of beta, because I was wave 2 from Cutting Edge on beta. First 2 weeks of beta, we were gods. We were the moon gods at that point. And then for like the next month, nobody wanted to even touch us. And then at the very, very tail end of beta, now we mean something again. So to me, And shout out to Tettles for constantly flaming everybody at Blizzard on Twitter for weeks on end to buff
Yep.
Boomy because we finally have our time in the sun, pun
Yep.
intended. So I think it's going to be fun. My biggest dilemma is going to be: do I play this powerful caster class or this powerful caster class?
Yep.
And Moonkin and Shadow Priest, they both feel great. So
Oh yeah.
there's definitely worse places to be right there.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, Shadow Priest was looking really good. I don't even know. So everybody kept asking. I was watching Lighty and Now and JB and Preheat and all of the higher level Mythic Plus runners. Everybody kept asking them throughout all of the beta, starting day one, what's the best? What's the best? What's the best? And I feel like we're starting to get an idea of that now, but I really feel like it's going to take... I think they're going to do more tuning throughout the whole time, whether it's on the Covenant or the class itself, because, I mean, even now, previously in BFA, throughout the patches, they were still making changes to everything. I think it was 8.2 throughout that one. Even Outlaw Rogue, they started making changes to them. What did they nerf Blade Flurry twice throughout that patch to bring down some of their damage to tune them? So I think it's going to be the same way. But I definitely feel like some of those are going to stay the way they are, like Affliction and Destro, Balance, Shadow. Frost Mage is looking good. Fire Mage was looking pretty bad for a little bit on beta, but it looks like it's starting to make its comeback.
Right.
But I haven't played Fire Mage a whole lot. So I really don't think we're going to know any type of metas or anything like that until further into the first patch, closer to the raid time.
Thinking, where's the love for our melee?
Where's the love for melee? Melee are right where they belong, at the bottom of the charts.
Oh man, that's
yeah. You know how long it took where melee was what everybody wanted, and I had to sit on bench. Look, me and the other Moonkins, we kept the bench warm, but now it's our time in the sun.
It's your time to shine. Yeah, melee is definitely down.
In all seriousness, there should not be this big of a disparity where like top of the tier list right now is all ranged, bottom of the tier list all melee. Like it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm feeling bad for our survival hunters. I'm feeling bad for our feral druids.
Oh.
I'm feeling bad. You know what? And I thought I was gonna start feeling bad for enhancement shamans, but as of recently, they're buff. They're starting to look nice.
Yeah, they're definitely looking better. I don't know. They need a little love. I don't think Blizzard's ever going to give survival hunters the love they need. It just
like nothing changed.
Doesn't seem that way throughout a lot of, I won't say all of BFA, but a lot of BFA, and then in the beta and everything. It just, I don't know. I don't think they're going to give survival the love they need. So as far as carriers for your stream, how have the changes in pre-patch, have they affected your stream at all, Cow?
Not really. I don't really have a roster per se. For me, there's a lot of interest in who wants to carry. I know that I'm gonna be with Mad Bro at least until his real life schedule changes. We'll see if he's able to go to Keys. He's basically in for all of them. And then beyond that, there's a few tanks that are interested. There's a few healers that are interested. So what I kind of want to do is I don't want to burn any one person out. So I kind of want to have like a Monday tank, a Friday tank, a Monday healer, a Friday healer, and then go from there.
Right.
Where it's and also it kind of lets me dedicate more of my like shared focus on, hey, this is the person on the multi, and that because we have sometimes where it's the same people coming on Mondays, it's the same people coming on Fridays. So that's probably how I'm gonna do it, and then just roll with the punches. Any carrier I think is gonna deal with burning out the carrier team. I've definitely dealt with that in the past, and I don't necessarily want to repeat that.
Right.
I'm also going to do more mixed content aside from like primarily carries. It'll be more half and half, I think. Especially now that I hit partnership, I don't have to worry necessarily as much on isolating part of my viewership. Instead, I can focus on expanding my viewership in other areas. So it'll be kind of nice to branch out a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I see Mad Bro in the chat messaging to you a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
He's always helping out. All right, so.
Oh, speaking of which, by the way, Hothead, like whenever you come in and tank, man, it's always super chill vibe. So like, I'm not sure what like your schedule looks like, but I'd be more than happy to bring you in like we've done in the past. I've literally never had a problem with you as a tank, so I'd be more than happy to like do some more stuff with you in the future.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it, man. I always love coming in there, you and Mad Bro, and we got Faded in there and everybody, and it's always a good time. Even when we mess up in a key or wipe a pull, we're still laughing and having a good time. So I definitely enjoy doing it.
That's a sense of the good community right there. Is that you guys can have those experiences and still push forward. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thoughts to you, Cowmasutras. How do you PvP at all?
I used to PvP as a Shadow Priest, and I never really got into PvPing as a Moonkin because there was so much pressure to just go Resto instead. And I did a little bit. I played a little bit of Resto, and it was incredibly easy compared to Moonkin. But like, I never felt passionate about it. I loved PvP as a Shadow Priest. I used to be Gladiator Season 5 and Season 6. I rolled with an Assassination Druid, or an Assassination Rogue. I was a Discipline Priest. Sometimes I'd go Shadow just to meme on them, but man, like, that was, I think, the heyday of PvP. And that was, I think, right on the time they added Resilience. You guys remember Resilience?
Yep.
And that was interesting. Now there's the whole balance between what's PvP gear and what's PvE gear. So I don't know. I'd like to see PvP come back more, because I definitely enjoy it in the right circumstances.
I'd like to see the comeback of rated VGs.
Oh, absolutely.
Outside of arenas, I would love to see rated BGs. I would love to see those 10-man groups, people playing Capture the Flag. You know, those 15-man groups doing Arathi Basin and the other one that came out, which I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But I want to see that come back, and I want to see the gear be just as good as if people were doing those dungeons and doing those raids, because PvP needs its love too. And I don't think the two communities should be so separate that you have to be funneled into doing PvE to get good gear. And I don't think you should have to do PvP to get the good gear either.
I agree with that 100%.
Yep. And I mean, they're bringing the PvP gearing system back in Shadowlands. I don't know how much you have seen it. So you gain all your honor from PvP again. It's not a little currency in your bag anymore. It's back to being tracked on your currency tab. And then you go buy your gear, and then you can use honor to upgrade it, or you can buy it with conquest, use conquest to honor it, or to upgrade it. And I'd really like to see, like Cal mentioned, the resilience on the gear. I felt like that was something that was really cool. Like you knew that was PvP gear. Granted, it sucked out in the world running around questing, and you got this DK back in Wrath that would come up, and they're already overpowered, and now he's stacked with all this resilience gear and got resilience gems, and then he just annihilates you out in the real world. But I feel like that would be really cool, because that would give you another incentive to go back to do PvP, or give the ones who've been slacking on PvP the drive to come back to it, or new PvP people who've never done arena other than mess around in skirmishes or get their weekly done. Give them a drive to get involved in it and try to push through that high rating.
Yeah, like I agree. Like I could go get fully decked out in Mythic gear and then step into PvP and walk out with 1600 arena rating easy. I'm like,
easy.
I'd argue, yeah, well, anyone can get 1600. It's like, yeah, well, you know what? It's a hell of a lot easier if you're in full, Mythic gear at that point. So it's like, I would like to see that too. I think if you watch any stream that's focused on PvP only, like Grayson, it's a different breed of players. PvP players are different than Mythic Plus or Raid players, and they should have different gear to show for it. They should have transmogs that only they can earn. And you know what? Honestly, in my personal opinion, they should be gods in world PvP. I used to love that. I used to love going out and just dropping people that were innocently trying to quest. Maybe this is like somebody's aunt or something playing casually at night. Yeah, I'm about to drop her in 2 crits. You know what I mean? Because I earned that PvP gear.
Exactly.
I want to express that. With a shadow block to the face or something, you know what I'm saying? So
absolutely. And
bring resilience back.
Absolutely.
Bring it back. Put it on the PvP gear, show the separation between, this person has Mythic Raid gear and this person has PvP gear, but also keep PvE trinkets out of my PvP, please.
100% agreed on that.
Yeah,
please.
And vice versa, even. I think there should not be a situation where either of those trinkets are so hard, right? Because they're so niche, they're so contested, like sought after. They should never be a situation where PvE works for PvP or PvP for PvE as far as trinkets are concerned. 100%.
Yep. And then you look at things that they've put in the game, like our borrowed power. So like our essences this tier. Condensed Life Force, when it first came out, was destroying people in PvP. It annihilated it. So I feel like it's going to be an adventure with the Covenants in arenas, because I feel like it's going to give people a pretty hard edge. So I feel like with arenas, anything rated like that, you should go in with you. It's you, the better skill. If you go in as 2 DKs, but one of them has this Covenant and the other one has this one or this tier, you were running Condensed Life Force or Crucible of Flame and the other guy was running a different one, you'd have the advantage. And I don't really feel like that's right. I feel like it should be off of you and your current gear.
You know, that is such a hot take. Like, if you guys have ever played like a tournament realm or like a pre-made realm, and you all have the best of the best gear, it hits different, you know. Or these games where sometimes I don't necessarily want to feel like my gear score is going to impact me. Or like you look at BFA and there's tons of data out there that shows that the whole PvP power thing was actually a detriment, that sometimes putting on lower item level gear actually made you better in arenas, or taking off a gem out of your socket made you better, made you more powerful in arena, because Blizzard can't scale this without all the modifiers, let alone with all the modifiers. I'd love it to where you walk into an arena and it's just everybody gets a preset template. It's just me, the player, versus you, the player. And they can scale and balance so much better if there's nothing else added on top of that.
Absolutely.
And I totally 100% agree with you on that. Maybe even if they make it towards something like Hardcore Arena or something, we give it a new name.
Or, I mean, in the skirmishes, you can do whatever you want. Regular battlegrounds, you're earning honor. It's not towards your conquest. You're just there to have fun and maybe grind out your honor or whatever, the achievements. But in the rated arena, where the rating matters and that you start looking at leaderboards and stuff, those people should go in just them. It's them and their character, and that's it.
Absolutely.
So you're saying no Covenants? None of that.
Yeah, nothing, no outside power, no outside anything, just them going in, fighting other people.
So I think...
Or maybe you go on and choose your Covenant at the beginning or something, so you don't get to keep that Covenant for the entire game, but you at least get to go in and then choose, I'm a Kyrian Moonkin right now or something, and then I step back out and I'm back to being Nightfare or whatever.
Yeah.
I think Blizzard has to do a lot to fix the Covenant system, because I think they're trying to build the Covenant system to play into the class fantasy of the characters that people are making, and the fact that you can only switch your Covenant every so often, or I have my PvP spec but I also have my PvE spec, and then what if I want to change to to go from healing to DPS, now the Covenants don't match up, like that just needs to be fixed altogether, because you won't be able to do everything you want to do at the same time.
Absolutely. All right, so some things they're bringing back. I mentioned Cyclone and Ursul's Vortex. So what do you think about all of the old abilities coming back as either baseline or talents? Like, we can get some of the old nostalgia back. So like Cyclone, you have Cyclone as a baseline as a Boomy now. You have Ursul's Vortex across all of your Druid classes. Priests, you have like Flash Heal and all of those across all of your priest specs. Death Knights get their AMZ back. I know that's been nice in Mythic Plus. Like this week was bursting. It doesn't take away the bursting, but at least it could minimize some of that damage coming from that magic, and it was nice. So what do you think about some of those abilities they're bringing back?
I think it's in an effort, I think, to make Druid more... So Druid, I think historically you have like these raw DPS classes, then you have like this hybrid, so raw would be like mages, warlocks, hunters. Hybrids would be like enhancement shaman, it'd be Moonkin Druid, it'd be like maybe even Shadow Priest would fall into that category. I like that they're bringing more utility for those specs that are sometimes underrepresented than, say, mages or warlocks, because we need that. We should have more utility, and honestly, letting us have a solar beam where it was a 1 minute cooldown for your kick, with the argument that, well, hey, there's a 6-second silence baked in. Oh, but 99% of all mobs in these mythic keystones are immune to silence. Okay.
Yep.
It feels like they're righting a wrong or balancing something that had an imbalance previously.
Absolutely. And like on that interrupt topic, I don't feel like a range should have such a long cooldown compared to a melee. Like, look at shamans. They have I think they have the lowest cooldown. Yeah.
Second.
And their healer spec has it. Like, that is amazing. Demon Hunters and Rogues, that was a big thing about Melee. Look at Shrine of the Storm in this tier. You needed those interrupts on that last boss. You needed the interrupts on the men's second boss even. You needed all those interrupts to be on point. But if you have a bunch of range, they can do all this damage, but their interrupt cooldown is way too high, so it's hard to look at them. And I know a lot of groups wouldn't bring a lot of range or any range to some of those. So I definitely feel like they need to bring back those cooldowns and stop separating range from Melee so hard.
Yeah, I agree. I think stacking situations where you want to stack only Melee or only range, it goes back to that earlier discussion about the discrepancy between their DPS throughput. It's like, it hurts because I don't want to have to switch my class in order to be able to play the game.
Right.
Melee players, in my opinion, honestly, and do not clip this, Maverick, if you're in chat, do not clip me. Melee players are inherently better, I think, than range players, because melee players have to deal with a ton more mechanics than range players do. And I know this because I had some trinket or some ability where I had to be in melee range constantly, and I was getting hit by all these mechanics that I did. What is this frontal cone? What is this? Wait, this like the snake boss in Temple.
Yep.
Like, does a one-shot mechanic in a 20 or higher? What?
Yep.
So, but melee players already know that, and they already prepare for that, and so I feel like I don't want to be forced into being, Resident Sleeper ranged or like, Chad melee or something if that's not my playstyle. Maybe that's going a little too far, but you understand what I'm saying, though.
Oh, he's clipping that for sure. I'm waiting on it to come in chat.
That's why I dragged it out so it was outside of that
Yep.
60-second window,
Yep. Oh yeah, he's definitely clipping that.
By the way, Mad Bro's great. Now you have to decide if you want the first half of the
Can't have both. You said you played beta. What about the new seasonal affix? I think it's a good affix, because in the past, with the exception of reaping, seasonal. There's the clip right there. He got you.
I think the seasonal affix is good. I think I'm really excited for it. I think it plays great in beta, or the affixes feel great in beta, I should say. And I'm looking forward to seeing it on live, where we have all the affixes at once. We've got the new seasonal affix in play that everybody can see, and I think it's good. I think there will be ways to cheese it, and I think Blizzard is trying to make an effort of constantly breaking the meta. Like we had Awakened, which was to break rogues, but then to find out, well, if you have Awakened plus a rogue, or then if you have a monk, you can just kite all 4 pillars at the same time.
Yep.
Players will always find a way to get around it, and so now it'll be interesting to see what they do. Do you have God mode for 3 or 4 full minutes in a row because you chain them back to back, sort of thing? So it'll be spicy, I think.
Do you think the seasonal affixes will play into what kind of group makeup you will see leading into the new higher level Mythic Plus keys? Aside from what we already have now?
So theoretically I would say yes, but in practice I would say no, because I made the statement before Awakened that we would see a different meta makeup because of that, with that thought in mind on paper. But then in practice you saw the same people, because those are the guys who were geared, those are the players who already had that mentality of being like top tier Mythic Raiders. So I think we'll still see rogues, we'll still see Resto Druids, like regardless of how strong Resto Shamans end up being and stuff like that. I think we'll still see the top tier players coming back to those same staples of players. Fire mages were good at a certain point. So that being said, I'd like it if it was different. I'd like it if there was not a hard meta. We're gonna go in with 3 hunters, for example, and just dominate. I'd like it if it wasn't necessarily like that.
Yeah, definitely. And that was kind of something that I really appreciate the Keystone Masters doing in their tournaments lately. They've changed themselves from just Keystone Masters to Keystone Master format experiments, where you can only have one of each spec. You can have 3 of the same class, so you could have 4 druids in a group and then one of something else, as long as they're different specs. You can't have, triple boomy or triple BM hunter or triple rogue. And they even made it to where if you played that spec, say you play boomy for the first map, then you go to the second one and now you have to choose something else. I definitely think that's good, because it shows everybody that anything can be good at the top tier if you play it right, if you play it well, play it the right way. I mean, really the only ones who are going to choose based off of those metas are going to be the MDI and the elitists on live. The elitists on live are going to watch the MDI and be like, those are the only good classes for Mythic Plus right there. Those are the only ones we take. And I'm sure you saw that this season. If you were pugging keys, you try to queue up and they're like, oh, are you this? No? All right, deny. Or they even look at you and they're like, oh, you're not a BM hunter. Deny. Boom. So I think those are really the only people who are going to hard look at that meta.
True. That's an interesting concept too. Only allowing one of a specific class that you don't have stacking. That's an interesting concept, I think. I wonder how that would play out for like carry streams. If I have let's say as a Moonkin Druid, I have another Moonkin Druid that wants to be a carry to be carried. In that case, I'd probably switch to a Shadow Priest or something.
Yeah.
So I think honestly, I don't see any downside to that, right? Forcing you to have a different meta, even if there's no other change, forcing you to not stack characters. I think that's what I literally can't see a downside with that.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
Be a little harder to funnel gear.
Yeah, but I mean, at the tier that they do it at, they're just doing it for the speed runs and everything.
Right. Okay.
And I think the main people who run keys together are gonna run the stuff like you, Mad Bro, Faded, or if I came, we're gonna run the things we normally run. We're not gonna worry about the meta or anything like that. Like they were running triple BM in the MDI this time, but you were still running Boomy. I was still running Rogue or Warrior or whatever. It was we run whatever. We're gonna stick with what we know.
Funneling gear not being a thing, that really only impacts sales, like gold sales.
Yeah.
Because I think funneling gear being more problematic is more a symptom of the gear system being broken inherently, like we talked about earlier, right? Like if we had a better gear system, we wouldn't need to funnel gear outside of sales.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right. Did you get a chance to test out any of the raid, whether in LFR or in actual raid testing?
Yeah, raid testing was super fun.
Yeah. I did LFR for one of the wings. Like I forget the boss's name. But the wing that has the big guy, and you have to make him charge into the pillars. If he hits the wall, he's going to bring the place down, and it's going to wipe the raid. That wing, the raid looks like it's going to be really fun. Like, not only challenging from what I've seen of, streams and videos at a higher level, I think it's going to be more fun than this tier, just because there's so much going on in them as far as mechanics.
Yeah. Yeah, so I agree 100%. I think I'm looking forward more to this raid than I am with the BFA raids, especially more than Nyalotha. The ones that I tested were the one where there's like 4 fonts of power, and then that fight was completely broken. Like the fight kept resetting randomly, and we were going through logs. I was with Ghost and Brutal when we did that. We were like going through logs because we were trying to figure out like what was breaking the boss or causing it to reset. And it was something like, is there something that we're doing that's healing the boss? And then if we heal the boss, it goes over 100% health and then resets or something. So it was interesting. I think if nobody's done this, like raid testing on beta, you absolutely should try to. Because it's a different experience. You go to beta, you get super powered up on gear, and then you go in and you can play around. The thing that I didn't like about raid testing was players still expected, hey, you need a minimum eye level for raid testing, and we're only taking these specific specs. Like, what's the point of raid testing if it's this rigid? But then maybe there's other groups. I don't know, because raid testing itself is isolated down to a few hours in a specific window on a specific day.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't really have unlimited access to just go and jump into a pug. You sometimes need to find a group of people. And then the other boss that I raid tested was the one where you have to like do this dance. It almost looked like the Karazhan banquet room.
Yep.
And you had to like do a dance, and it was funny because I, who normally like suck with mechanics, was like doing the mechanics like spot on, and other people were struggling and stuff, and it just made me think like maybe I'm actually a good player and that other people are only at my level because they're compensating with way more practice and training. So I don't know. I'm gonna go into beta, or I'm gonna go into Shadowlands pretty confident that I'm a good player at the game because of raid testing, and we'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, I would say in a nutshell, yeah, raid testing was a lot of fun.
I never actually got into the beta, but one thing I would like to see especially from the new raid, and I haven't even seen any of the new stuff, is that Blizzard puts more mechanics into these fights. I come from a Final Fantasy 14 background, so I know all about what happens if one person messes up the mechanic. Everyone goes down, and I think mechanics really make the player. Like, if a person's doing their mechanics and they're putting out the regular DPS rotation, the boss will go down.
Yep.
And I think the people need to start focusing more on the mechanics. And if we have fun mechanics, like the one you're talking about with like the charging into the walls and stuff, and just like more fun mechanics, getting people to move around the room, the dancing is cool and all that stuff. I really liked back in Naxxramas with the one boss where like he would do one area and then everyone had to move at the same time, and like he would hit the ground in a conal in the area again. I think having the whole group move like that, just really gets people in the same mindset. Like, okay, we're all the same team. We have to do these mechanics right. If we mess up, we're dead.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think about that same concept applied to Mythic dungeons? Like right now, these dungeons are a lot more unforgiving than the current dungeons.
Yeah, these new dungeons, they are definitely not forgiving. I know early in the beta, when I was doing like testing out some of them for Mythic Plus, they were really overtuned, and I've noticed over time they've been fixing it a little, but especially Tyrannical, and I'm just gonna plug remove Tyrannical from the game because it's awful. But
It's not up on that petition.
yeah, I want Tyrannical gone, especially because of how overtuned they get some of these dungeons. Mists of Tarnia, I forget what it is, the new dungeon in Shadowlands for the Ardenwald. But at the end, you got the giant worm boss, and if everybody's not doing the mechanics, it gradually starts hitting closer and closer to you with its AoE no matter what, until it finally hits you. And if it hits you, it's going to more than likely kill you, depending on what key you're doing, especially on Tyrannical. So if everybody's not working together, you're not going to time the key. You might not even finish the key, depending on how many times you wipe, because there's no telling how many times I've been in a group where if you wipe once or twice, somebody's like, well, I don't want to do this anymore, see you guys later, and then your key's screwed. So I definitely feel like the harder dungeons are going to make the difference now. They're still a lot of fun, but I think it's going to be harder for your average player to get in there and try to push those keys.
I think
agree with that.
There should be balance. I mean, I want to feel like I'm sweating when I'm doing
Yep.
the hardest level content. I really want to feel like my palms are shaking, like, oh yeah, we're getting into this.
Yep.
Like, I want that feeling. And I like someone's saying in chat, like, personally, I'm tired of like the sleeping dungeons where it's
Yep.
just like a DPS race, or it's just like, okay, this is a healer fight. Like, come on.
Yep.
Final Fantasy is a good example of that, where you're leveling up, and like, okay, so I started playing Final Fantasy like maybe 6 to 8 weeks ago. I played it for about a month and then kind of stopped playing. I'm definitely going back though, because that's definitely a fun game, and the story is so rich, etc. But one thing that's different is if I'm just messing around and talking on Discord and hanging out, and I look away on WoW, everything's fine. There's 7 rap attacking me. But on Final Fantasy, I'm dead.
Nope.
Like, I am dead. If 3 or more guys come to me at the same time, like, I'm toast. I need to run away if I can get away, and I'm dead. So that level of difficulty definitely ramps up in a more exponential way on Final Fantasy than it is on WoW. And then as it relates to dungeons, as a carrier, I'm just gonna have the carry die at the beginning of the dungeon.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if they don't know, it's actually easier. It's easier for them to not be there than it is for them to be there and fail.
Yeah.
So I think maybe from a carrier perspective, we'll work around it. But if the dungeon is so hard that I'm sweating, then that pushes me to be even better. That can I do this with only 4 people? Because that's the true definition of a carry, right? So,
and there's no telling how many times just at this season that I've been there, and me and Mad Bro are going, and he's like, "Is Cow AFK?" And we're like, "Yeah, just keep going." And we can still, having one person down or with a carry, a person and a half, we can take that little break. If you have to stop and look at your stream or fix something or talk to somebody, we have that time, because these dungeons aren't that hard, especially this in pre-patch right now with the squish. Everything is honestly a joke. Keys are a joke.
Yep.
I went in with a brand new character and was almost doing 15s with an undergeared character because they're so easy right now with the squish. And I definitely feel like that's all going to change going into Shadowlands. having a carry there, dying a lot, costing that time, I feel like it's definitely gonna be different.
I know what you're saying. You're saying that I can't drink as much. Pay attention to the key. Because, yeah, a lot of times I am the one getting carried and that's something that I look for. That's something that I look for in the carry team is, hey, are you guys cool with the main focus is not timing the key? We're going to time the key regardless because the dungeon's so easy. The main focus is that I'm trying to provide a good entertainment for the chat. Sometimes that means, Cow's still back on the first boss and we're on bottom 3. So I'm simply bluntly not going to be able to do that in Shadowlands. I'm going to have to pay attention. My chat's going to have to sometimes come second to the key because these dungeons are harder. And honestly, that's a nice change of pace with what we've had over the last 2 months.
Yep. And I don't know. I feel like people are still going to be able to go AFK for a second, maybe clear some trash, and then be like, hey, we're on the boss. Let's keep going. Especially with the people you have helping you, like Madbro, Gosu, Faded, all those guys. Like, I definitely feel like you have a good team helping you out, running with you. The herd treats you well, when you say it like that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like, you're a part of that too, man. Like I said, it's been super smooth, and I have no complaints. So,
all right.
Yeah, it does help when I have like the number 36 discipline priest in the world healing from time to time.
Yep. All right. The AoE cap. So that'll be the last Shadowlands change we'll talk about. So how do you think the AoE cap has not only affected Mythic Plus, but how do you think it's going to affect the herd going in?
I think Blizzard gave it and they take it away. They made Starfall viable and then also added an AoE cap. You know what? Bring it. Like, I'd rather see having to force you to go through the dungeon more methodically and not just, pull everything and then nuke.
Yeah.
Even if pull everything and nuke makes Moonkins shine because Starfall's viable, I think this is a better change,
Yep.
I think there are certain things that just AoE nuking everything down takes a lot of the thought out of a dungeon, and it makes it feel more sleepy, like they said. Oh, we're going to double pull, we're going to triple pull.
Yep.
Pop all your cooldowns, go God mode, drop them in 40 seconds, move on to the next pack. That's not always that fun. I mean, it can be fun from like a numbers perspective, watching all the numbers flash across the screen, but like from like actually playing the dungeon, it doesn't make as much sense to me to do it like that. It would make more sense to me to say, okay, like Final Fantasy, you're gated by, you have to kill these guys, get the key, open this door, etc., etc. Like, it makes the pace of the dungeon better as well, I think.
Definitely.
On that note, though, like, in Final Fantasy, it is all about, like, pulling everything and just nuking it all down. There's no CCing, like, this mob or this mob. Like, I don't know if you guys remember playing Classic, like, but a mage polymorphing, rogue sapping, like, in Stratholme or the other dungeon, like, priest had to shackle undead. Like, that was so important to do, to CC mobs, and I don't feel like we're doing that enough in these new expansions. Let us CC stuff, that way we can take it down. Like, the whole AoE pulling and bringing it down, it's boring, I feel like.
Yeah, and Madbro brings up a good point on that. He says he laughs about doing 2 times your damage when you're on a break talking to your stream, but even in reality, before the AoE cap, you could be trying so hard and everybody in the group trying so hard, and the DK waits a second, applies his wounds to everybody, drops death and decay, boom, he immediately had 1,000,000 DPS, boom, and everybody gets to laugh it off, but then nobody else really gets to do anything because the DK melted everything before you could. So I think,
or like they hit one button or they get one proc and suddenly they're doing into 20 times the damage to everybody else. It's like, okay, well that's also fun for them.
Yep.
So there's this question from chat that says, general question, how well is Activision Blizzard doing catering to both new players and the veteran hardcore players, especially with the changes over the last couple of expansions like Mythics? What do you guys think of that one?
I think with leveling, they helped out new players because, one, you can pick an expansion and level through it and get that experience. For returning players, I think it definitely helps because maybe you missed out on that expansion or you didn't get to finish that expansion. And I think that definitely helps out because they get to see that one now. And new players, the leveling is so fast anyways. you'll be able to get to the Mythics or the Mythic Plus dungeons or starting to PvP. You get there faster, and each level means something. It's not like BFA or Legion where, all right, here in 10 levels, you're going to pick up an ability. Now it's, oh, you leveled up one time? All right, here's Starfall. And the next ability, oh man, here's Sunfire now hits all your targets instead of just that one. And I feel like that definitely helped him out.
Here's the different take on that question too. I think with Mythic Plus Zeros, it gives new players who just got up to level 50 in this sense a chance to go into a Mythic dungeon, Mythic Zero. Okay, they do it. Now it's a +2 key, right? And then they introduce an affix. It gives those players a chance to gradually get into the mindset that these dungeons are going to get harder. There's going to be new mechanics introduced, and they can build themselves up to the point where they get up to doing those +10s where the pillars are involved or the new seasonal affix is involved, and they can be just almost as good as those veteran hardcore players would be if they put in the time and the practice to learn the outlay of the dungeons and everything. So I think Blizzard's doing a good job of catering to new players and also trying to make the veteran hardcore players feel like there is an actual challenge out there for them.
Oh yeah,
I agree with that. I think that the Mythic Keystone is a perfect example. That system is a perfect example of that, like you said. Like, so I'm known for doing beefy keys as Cowmasutra, but I also have another group within the herd that does baby keys. So it'll be like a group that, hey, this group wants to run 7s. They don't like the pressure of having to run 15s. They've never been anything plus a 10, like in a 10 or 11 or higher. They just enjoy doing 5s, 6s, 7s, and at that level, like you said, you can choose. Do you want to drop the key and also drop an affix off at the same time?
Yep.
Do we want to try this 7 and pick up an extra affix? That's nice. And the way that they changed it to where the gear levels scale up those keys, I think that the Keystone is a perfect example of letting players push small content and still feel like they're doing something big, right? And then sometimes if they want actual gear, they can come to one of our streams and get some free gear, which drives our viewer counts up. So it's a win-win for everybody, right? Small for like baby players, veteran players, and then streamers as well. I think it's a win all around.
Glitterette makes a really good point too about the quest pointer. I remember back years ago, you downloaded Quest Helper, and that would put the quests on your map, tell you where to go, point you in the right direction, tell you what you have to do for the quest, and now that's kind of built into the game. And then with Shadowlands, they took it a step further. So we use a lot of leveling people like to use Azeroth Autopilot or another add-on to help them, and it points the direction where they go. But in Shadowlands and in the pre-patch, they've added the little gold diamond pointing you where you need to go. You don't have to hunt down that person anymore. You don't have to hunt down the thing you're looking for. It's going to tell you exactly where to go. And when I saw that on beta and that they implemented it on live with the pre-patch, I thought that was amazing, not only for veteran players, but new ones, because they don't know where to go.
Yeah, or even players that are veteran but don't know how to map.
Exactly. Yep.
Like inside of Bastion, where it's like, okay, well, I'm where the dot says. What am I doing wrong? And then someone's like, hey, you see a little arrow underneath that dot? Yep. That means that it's below you. And I'm like, okay, all right. Well, I need to find whatever portal takes me down and stuff. So yeah, it's nice. It is like these little small quality of life changes. Honestly, Blizzard has always taken cues from other games, and other games, to be honest, have advanced a lot faster than WoW has. Like Final Fantasy. How many systems does Final Fantasy have that you'd love to see in a WoW? Right. So they have fates, we have world quests, there's, level scaling and stuff. So I think the better that other games get, the more that we'll see Blizzard doing in WoW like that to improve the quality of life within WoW.
Definitely. All right, so we're going to start to get into the end of it. Is there anything for your stream or for the herd or for everybody that you would like to announce or talk about for your stream?
I'm doing a 48-hour stream starting about this time tomorrow. I'm going to basically go for at least 24 hours if I can. I'm going to try to get my Druid and my Shadow Priest both to 60. At least my Druid during that time. I know that not a lot of content is going to be open within the first week, but I'm going to try to get as much done. I'm going to probably be doing some Mythic Zeros, do a sleep stream, wake up, probably a Mad Bro wakes me up, and then I'll stream, and then we continue. And then from there, it's back to the usual grind. I'm bringing back Friday raid with the herd. It'll be a normal raid to begin with, and then we'll transition into heroic as we see fit. But And then a little bit more variety, like I mentioned before. Wednesdays are going to be Mythic raids. I still do the 3-day schedule, but I might be incorporating an extra slot for more variety games. We'll see what happens, though.
All right. Yeah, I definitely like seeing you do like Among Us or what were you playing? The Minecraft-like game?
Boundless, yeah.
Boundless. Yeah, I definitely like seeing the variety of games you put on there for everybody. I feel like it helps everybody get involved and see different things.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. It's a risk, right? Because most of my audience and viewer base has come from doing keys and primarily WoW content only. So I think I risk losing a portion of that audience by branching out to other games. But as a streamer, I'm gonna have to do that inevitably. So I might as well do that now that I have the ability to. So
Yeah.
but I don't want to change too much too quick and like put my viewer base into shock, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. It definitely looks like seeing it. I've seen you haven't had a crazy loss. Like you have a lot of really loyal viewers and followers and subscribers that watch you play those games, and a lot of them are the same people. And I've even seen like some new people come in and watch. So that's definitely pretty cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So far, it's been a positive thing. I did an Amazon watch party, which I guess is only partners can do that.
Yep.
We watched Borat 2 on stream, and that was an interesting experience. Other than the fact that some people couldn't even log in.
Huh.
And then on mobile, they're just watching a full cam of me eating popcorn, which is, maybe that's the content that some people want. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet.
Content we need.
Yep. The cow popcorn cam.
Yeah,
The content we asked for. The content we need.
The content no one asked for.
Absent, I know lately you've been starting to bring your stream back. Are you going to be streaming a lot more going into Shadowlands?
I'd like to. My stream audience mostly comes from me playing Super Smash Brothers and playing Brawlhalla before I joined the Air Force. But now with Shadowlands coming back and trying to build this Air Force culture, I think it'd be a really good idea for me to put my stream back out there and try to be more involved with the community in that regard. I think I find myself to be entertaining. So yeah, I'll bring the stream back up. We'll see what we can do. I'll do a little beatboxing. Got the music flowing and everything. We'll have ourselves a good time. It's awesome.
Sweet. So
we should do a Herd versus Air Force gaming Among Us night.
Oh man, I could see that.
I'm all about it.
We could definitely set that up. All right, so I'm gonna do a few announcements for the guild part of it, and while I'm doing it, if you guys we can take a couple questions here at the end. So if you guys want to type any questions you have in the chat, once I finish the announcements, we can scroll back and start answering a few of them. So the first thing is, some of you already know and have seen it in our Discord, but for those that are Air Force, any type of Total Air Force, Active Guard Reserve, we are starting our raid teams. So right now we have more people on a night shift schedule, so we're building our night shift team up. We are trying to get enough people for a day shift team. So we're doing that. We're going to just farm normal and heroic as much as we can until we get gear enough and we're confident going into Mythic. So definitely keep an eye on the Discord for that. And then we are going to be looking, as soon as Shadowlands, Mythic 0, and Mythic Plus come out that season on December 8th, we are going to be doing tryouts for the MDI team for the Mythic Plus, and for the Arena team, we're looking for people to play in that. We've had a little bit of interest, but not a whole lot. But we're definitely looking for stuff like that. So if you're interested in any one of those three things, just find me in the Discord or find me on Twitter. Shoot me a message there. Anything. Absence an officer, so if you see him in guild, and we have one more that I'm about to put as officer soon. But if you have any questions on those, just ask us in Discord. We're going to be putting the Mythic Plus guys and ladies and gents that are on the team on the Raider IO, which I think that's a really cool system that they just implemented, the Raider IO teams, because you can track your progress as a team together instead of just individually.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's all the announcements. I don't see any questions.
Say, if anyone else, if you know anyone active duty that plays WoW, definitely just shoot them an invite to the airforcegaming.com to get themselves verified and go in the Discord. We'd love welcoming new players. That's the type of community that we've built so far. So, anyone playing WoW on a different server or anything, toss out the idea that, hey, come to Horde Tichondrius. We got big welcome arms. We'll carry you off into the sunset in these raids and everything. So
yeah, we definitely still enjoy playing with Cow, and we'll try to maybe set something up where we can have a raid night sometime during Shadowlands where some of us and some of you guys in the herd come together and do like a normal raid or something and get some game time in with the herd.
Yeah, we have a lot of... I'm not sure how many active duty members we have, but we have a lot of veterans across all the various branches. So I think that'd be awesome to do some type of collabo like that for sure.
Yeah.
Anything to build both communities, for sure.
Do you guys have any like major events coming up or anything like that?
Yeah, we have the Air Force Gaming has their new Air Force Gaming League, and you can find a lot of info about that on our Twitter and our website and our Facebook. But it's right now it's just certain bases are going to come together for League of Legends, Rocket League, Call of Duty, and play against each other in like big Air Force wide, or right now MAJCOM or command wise intramurals playing against each other, and that's something really cool that we're doing now. So what will be our raid schedule? Not totally sure. That's going to depend on how many people we get for both of the shifts. Like I said, we've got days schedule looking together, and then our nights and swings are still getting together.
Still TBD. However, Saturday evenings is looking like a good raid night so far. So as a solid raid night, but we're still trying to find one other day. That way we can have 2 days that we're committed to. That way we can really tackle it the best we can throughout the week before reset.
Yeah, definitely. Absent is really quiet. Oh yeah, we'll have to turn him up.
Hello? Okay. Maybe the mic was away from where it should be.
What is AFG? AFG is Air Force Gaming, so it's under the Air Force Service Center. It's the community hub for all Air Force and Space Force to get together and play games. You don't have to be on a team or join a group or anything like that. You can just get together with other airmen and space professionals around the world and play together. It's really cool the way they've built everything up.
When you first mentioned that you were going to be doing a lot with Air Force Gaming, I was excited for you. Now to see it come to this point, like, it's nice seeing you grow and like get more integrated and do more with the Air Force Gaming. So
yeah, I appreciate it, man. And when I came in on your stream and you asked me to talk about it that few months ago, I definitely appreciated that, and that was pretty awesome. It's good to see not only the armed services side of it, but even everybody else in the community, and the WoW community, the Call of Duty community, whatever, come together and collab and play together. I definitely think that's a good idea, especially with you mentioning the herd versus AFG Among Us. All right. So if we don't have any more questions, I definitely want to thank Cowmasutra again for coming out here and doing this stream with us and answering questions and talking about his stream. That was pretty awesome, and I know a lot of our community members really appreciated seeing you and coming out here.
This was good. Like, to be honest, I don't know how many episodes you guys have done of this, but this is a really, really smooth podcast, I think. This has been smoother than a lot of the episodes of our Lorecaster podcast, where like we had audio muted for the first 30 minutes. We had Madeline Rue, the author of the Shadows Rising book, come on our podcast, and I hosted it, and my audio was muted for like 30 minutes while she sat there staring at the camera. It was a disaster. So you guys are doing a good job.
Yeah,
that feels awesome to hear, because this is actually the premiere. This is the first. Yep. This is the first Twitchcast that we've done, and you were our first guest. Yep. And to hear from you that it went so smoothly is very nice to hear. And we thank you for definitely supporting us as a team, and the support is definitely going to be reciprocated moving forward as well for you.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and again, shout out to Cowmasutra for coming out and helping us out. And we'll have some updates coming for the next one. We're going to do it further into Shadowlands so that people are already seeing the raid and the Mythic Plus and arenas and the new gear and covenants and everything. And we'll see who we get for the next one.
Sounds good.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.